This is the only poem that I have written that has actually been translated in 4 languages. It's in Turkish in print, in French in print, coming out in Japanese, and this is the English version. It's called Bête Noire, Dark Beast. Mercy comes in the pieces, the lost hours and the lights in the distance, the forgotten words, the memoirs of steak and gristle, pressed between numb fingers, fallen away to the plate. The taste of newer wines, distance, sounds of a retinue evening, submerged in conversation, walls of faces in the cafe, retrieving his glance from the corner of your eye to the slip-away spaces between the booth and the small of your back, the top of a naked thigh, acceptable standard to the saturnine. Pump his heart full of lust and leave it. Leave it to the swish in the back of his throat. Not long now before we'll be together, and the lights will dance to the bread of us, our heels on the pavement. We are a gossamer procession, as subtly put as striplings on the boulevard with mumbles and whispers, the lyrics we find. The soul is warming to this, and we will gush out happy. In the upper register of morning, when the moon comes at us dovetailed, you can jilt me a dry sky, mine shoo-shoo, Bête Noire. Wow. This is the story of the only one of Charles Bukowski's wives that I got to spend the night with. This is for Linda Lee. She is smaller now than my daughter is at 14. Golden freckles in her eyes spell Hank. And for her years, her own light shines brightly, left of center, to the big writing man with the scars on his face, whom I love. There are so many questions in my glass of red wine. With this glass of red wine she insisted to buy me, so I drink slow, fucking slow, from the estate Bukowski. I listen to her voice through the ice cubes, melting, and the loud music pushes up against her right through the windows from inside of the bar. A party of 5 at an outside table. We 2 drinkers sip our drinks. She has 5 in her before my one, and 3 sobers slip their coffee, speaking soft while the last lover speaks. She's as easily distracted, but inveigle, wide eyes flash. I ask her what it was like to wake up in that bed every morning, and she says, I like cats. And Hank did too. She pours out his memory and knocks back seltzer and vodka and lime. Spinning her little plastic straw in her ice cubes, she smiles. Now 8, no 9 cats sleep beside me on Hank's side of the bed, she says. Her eyes go wide to accent the joy, and she looks like she might fit in a doll's house. She says she just fed them, and they kept coming and staying there. They loaf around the sunny windows of her San Pedro bungalow, 4 on the couch, 2 at the windows, the rest like chess pieces all over the floor, but she says one of them only greets her in the morning, and no one else has ever seen that cat. She laughs at the mysterious cat without a name, and she tells its story. It perches on the edge of her seat. Like a mystic, she taps her teeth on the rim of her glass in the rests between her words. When people come over, she says, it splits. It only knows her, she says. And when it meows, it sounds like mama, which is what Hank called her. And right as she said this, I swear to God, the music hushed from inside the bar just for a minute. Just a drum beat, I could see those shining eyes like they shined at him, plain and subtle and beautiful. There she was, Hank's woman. As she was to him and nobody else, immortalized, transcending outside of 1,000 lines. Like mama, she says, this time in a cat's little voice. She smiles and then she looks away, and she never looked at me again. And I can see the spark she lit in a poet that wrote it down so that the rest of the world could see. And now she mystifies me. Thank you. All of these that I'm reading this evening are actually in the book, which is here. So, mind you, me and a hell of a lot of other fucking incredible women who I'm honored to be in the pages with. This is a true story. This is the story of my third child coming into the world. It's called Manhattan Madonna. In the hollowed confessional of the lobby, I stood waiting for the nun to confirm my reservation. My stomach was as empty as the eyes of the portrait of St. Francis watching from the west wall. The rooms were single occupancy only and a mere $60 a night, where the nuns and young priests have slept dreamless and stiff in host metal beds. My lover and I conceived a child entirely in sin. First, I hold my ex-husband blameless for the empty marriage that swept the ashes he left in me to ignite in another man's arms. Second, to bring the millennial revision of holy virginity to my loins, pulled tight as a clutch purse. A hazard of uninterrupted nights, of unprotected sex, and my lover's botched vasectomy. Blame what the first week of February does to New York. The beautiful and hopeful sky behind the shadowy concrete spires, and the bricks, more shades of gray than a used crayon box could hold. The eyes of the Empire State Building glowing in 4 perfect hearts, just like right before that scene in Sleepless in Seattle when the heat-seeking missile-like lovers embraced their first kiss. It was like that. My heart thumped while we rode in the taxicab, silent as children in church. I did not look at him, and he said nothing. We were sinners to the bones of us. I could no more look him in the eyes than he could telephone his wife and say that we were just checking into this obscure hotel for a midwinter sex fest. The room we shared was the number of the Holy Trinity. We fell together below the crucifixion mural hanging above the headboard. Our lust left us burning blue like the carpet under our bare feet. In white sheets pulled taut as the shroud of Turin, we bled into each other like the lashes on Jesus. We bled with the fury of the open-hearted Madonna. We bled like our bodies touching so purely in sin made how we made it together a holy communion. Slowly turning the breath of God into a body language so passionate that the egg-white walls around us cracked and the yolk of our son stirred to life. 7 days and 7 nights we weaved him into flesh and into bone. And on the 8th day, we rested. Thank you.